Meanwhile, his body moved and he appeared on the stage. He looked at the Hongyu sect disciples with an arrogant expression and said, "All you Hongyu sect inner disciples can all come at once. I, Zhoupeng, will take you all on." The Hongyu sect disciples went into an uproar. Even the Hongyu sect elders revealed frowns. None of the people from the Xiandao sect said anything. They only revealed respectful looks. It seemed that this person's status was not low in the Xiandao sect. Elder Ouyang coughed and shouted, "Friend Huanglong, this is Zhoupeng. He is our Xiandao sect's head disciple. Let this one match decide it all. If one of your Hongyu sect disciples can last 10 seconds, then the Hongyu sect has won." Zhang Kuang's eyes lit up. He moved his body, landed on the stage, then heavily said, "Such an arrogant kid. I'll test you." Zhoupeng let out a laugh and said, You appear to be at the 6th layer of qi condensation, but you're hiding your true strength. You're actually at the 8th layer. You are not strong enough." As he was speaking, a cold light flashed across his eyes. He waved his right hand. Then a black snake suddenly leapt out and grew into a giant python. This python's large head looked coldly at Zhang Kuang's terrified face. It opened its mouth and inhaled, which produced an unimaginable suction force. The suction was very strange. It only affected Zhang Kuang and no one else. Zhang Kuang didn't have the power to resist. Before he could even use any techniques, his body acted like a kite with its string broken and was sucked toward the python. Zhoupeng sneered. He raised his right hand and grabbed Zhang Kuang's neck. He said, "Go back and train for a few dozen years before coming back to look for me." With that, he threw Zhang Kuang out with his right hand. The last remaining purple-clothed disciple went to catch Zhang Kuang, but wasn't able to counteract the force, so they both slid on the ground for a very long distance before finally stopping. Zhang Kuang's face was very pale. His eyes were closed and his body constantly trembled. On his neck was a black handprint, as if there was a hand firmly clamped on his neck. The purple-clothed disciple that caught him had a look of horror on his face and was silent. Huanglong's heart was very bitter. The Xiandao sect's head disciple was simply too strong. Based on what happened just now, this person was at least at the 10th layer. He surely had a talisman hiding his cultivation level, so the exact level wasn't known. Then, he looked at the surrounding inner disciples. Huanglong let out a sigh. Even the head disciple, who was with the core formation elders, didn't have a good chance of winning because he was only at the 10th layer. If he loses the fight, then the Hongyu sect will have completely lost. Huanglong wryly smiled. "Fine. It seems my Hongyu sect has no hope. Quickly, tell the two ancestors about what old man Ouyang said so they can make a decision. If what he said is true, then there is no hope in keeping the Hongyu peak." Zhoupeng arrogantly looked at the surrounding people and asked, "Who's next?" All of the Hongyu sect disciples became dumbfounded. None of them spoke up and all of them lowered their heads at Zhoupeng's gaze, because none of them wanted to go up. Zhoupeng sneered. He looked down upon them in his heart. However, as his gaze was sweeping over the disciples, he was stunned when he noticed that there was a third-layer disciple who wasn't afraid of his gaze. Wang Lin's expression remained calm as he looked at Zhoupeng. Zhoupeng stared at Wang Lin and coldly asked, "What? Do you want to come up?" Zhoupeng's words attracted everyone's attention. When they realized that Zhoupeng's words were directed at Wang Lin, all of their expressions became strange. Huanglong let out a sigh. Wang Lin was only at the 3rd layer and normally wouldn't be noticed among the disciples, but now, although his cultivation was low, his bravery was commendable. Zhoupeng, seeing that Wang Lin didn't respond, sneered, "Out of the 4 battles, there is still one left. The Hongyu sect is such a large sect, yet no one dares to come up. I'm very disappointed. Do none of your inner disciples dare to come up?" Elder Su, who was standing next to Huanglong, said, "Sorry, junior brother Sunday Wang Lin. You go." Sundaju was stunned and immediately realized what was going on. He angrily said, "Dao Su, although you are my senior brother, you can't disgrace me like this. My disciple is only at the 3rd layer. Letting him go up will only make me lose face. Don't think I don't know what you are thinking. Their sect's head disciple is too strong, so you all are afraid that your disciples will be defeated, shamed, and hurt, so you are sending in my disciple as a scapegoat. My disciple has always been considered trash at the school, so even if he loses, you guys can make an excuse. I refuse to agree to such a disgraceful thing. Dao Su frowned. He really did have such thoughts in mind, but Sun Dazhu didn't give him any face and said all of that in front of the Xian Dao sect. He sneered. His eyes looked at the sect head Huang Long and sent some messages. Huang Long sighed and said, "Junior brother Sun, don't bother saying more. Wang Lin, you go up." Sun Dazhu angrily threw his sleeve to the sides and looked up into the sky with a mocking smile on his face. Wang Lin clasped his hands and respectfully exclaimed, "As you command." With that he took a deep breath, then slowly walked forward and onto the stage. All of the Xian Dao sect's disciples started to jeer loudly at him. "Hung Yu sect, you have no shame. Sending a waste to compete with our eldest martial brother. Our eldest martial brother doesn't even need to deal with this trash. I can kill him with just a thumb. Eldest martial brother, they have already given up. Just send someone else to deal with him. He is honestly pretty pitiful. Be a good person and just send him off without hurting him." Elder Ouyang looked at the two elders and revealed a look of disdain. He laughed and said, "I really got to know the true Huang Long and Hung Yu sect today." Huang Long's face sank. Without a word, he waved his sleeves and left. He didn't have any hope in Wang Lin. He only sent Wang Lin up to be fodder to end the last match. In this exchange he had already accepted defeat. After all, even if he lost, then if word of it were to spread, it was not so bad. But if word got out that no one even dared to fight, then it would be too disgraceful. None of the other inner disciples dared to go up, so he could only send Wang Lin. Behind him, all of the elders of the Hung Yu sect shook their heads and turned around to leave. Even the inner disciples started to move their feet, unwilling to stick around and lose more face. Zhou Peng arrogantly laughed and said, "Wang Lin, I can knock you down with one breath, so steady yourself." With that he sucked in a breath. His body was like a bottomless pit. The clothes of all the spectating disciples started to make flapping sounds, as if they were about to be blown off. Wang Lin had never fought with anyone before, so to say he was not nervous would be wrong. He concentrated all of his power into his attraction technique and fanned out. For insurance, he took out a stink bomb. He quickly dissolved Li Shan's divine sense from it and threw it out. With a bang, the stink bomb exploded and Zhou Peng's body was thrown out from the black smoke. His body heavily slammed into the ground. He was covered in black sludge and wore a dumbfounded expression just like Sun Hao. The giant python floating in the air also disappeared. This bang surprised the people from the Hung Yu sect. They subconsciously turned their heads, then froze in place. Everyone present was silent. Huang Long was dumbfounded. He thought, This? His heart was in complete chaos and his ears buzzed. It was as if there was thunder raging right next to his head. No way! When did Wang Lin become this strong? His opponent was the head disciple of the Xian Dao sect. Dao Su rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Brother Zhang, the one who brought Wang Lin to the Hung Yu sect, also revealed a shocked expression. He thought, "This is the junior brother Wang, the one I keep telling to work harder? He is only at the 3rd layer. How did this happen? He is Wang Lin? The one that entered the sect by trying to commit suicide. The piece of trash." The red-faced elder was shocked. He opened his mouth but forgot to breathe. Incredible! Another elder named Song stood there frozen. Wang Zhuo was stunned. His face hardened like a wax statue's and he kept repeating in his head, "Wang Lin? Trash." He shook his head. He felt weightless and kept telling himself that this was a dream, an illusion. The female disciple named Su's small hand covered her mouth and she muttered, "How can this be? When did Wang Lin become so strong? He is clearly only at the 3rd layer." Sun Dazhu touched his head and muttered, "This is an illusion. I must be hallucinating. How can there be an illusion in broad daylight? Is this my disciple?" The female named Zhou stared at Wang Lin. Her mind was completely blank. Zhang Kuang had already woken up, but he was afraid of losing face, so he had been pretending to be knocked out. However, he couldn't pretend anymore as he stared at Wang Lin. His pupils shrank and he thought, "Yes, it's him. It must be him. Dreaming. I must be dreaming." The middle-aged man who accepted the medal from Wang Lin's 4th uncle bit his tongue. Lu Song's reaction wasn't as strong as theirs. This was the first time he had heard Wang Lin's name. He looked at Wang Lin and thought, when did such an expert appear among the inner disciples? Why didn't the elders just send him up instead of sending me first? Did I test wrong back then? Does Wang Lin have really good talent? The pill house's third elder thought, as he was still shocked by the scene before him. All of the inner disciples were still frozen. They all exhibited dumbfounded expressions. The people of the XIAN Dao sect weren't doing any better. Elder Ouyang's eyes widened. Zhou Peng was their secret ace, known as the #1 genius in the cultivation world of Zhao. His true power was that of 13th layer of qi condensation, but he actually lost? If the Hongyu sect's elders made a move, then it would be fine, but this was someone even the Hongyu sect considered trash. It must be because Zhou Peng was careless, it must be. The other two elders looked at each other. They were unable to use their voices. This battle was simply too strange. They were so flabbergasted that they were unable to talk at the moment. Lu Feng gave Wang Lin a deep look. He was secretly glad he didn't go up, or he would have suffered the same fate, but he couldn't understand why Wang Lin was called trash in the Hongyu sect when he was so strong. After looking at the Hongyu sect people's reactions, it didn't seem like they were faking it. Was it really because Senior Zhou Peng was careless? No matter how much he looked at Wang Lin, he was only at the 3rd layer. All of the other disciples had thoughts similar to Lu Feng's and thought that senior brother Zhou Peng was just careless. They refused to believe that he was truly defeated by Wang Lin. Lu Mei's delicate face also became erratic. Her thoughts were very different from everyone else's. On the first day, Wang Lin had already caught her eye, and now she looked at Wang Lin with deep interest. Among all the present people that were shocked, Li Shan could be considered the 3rd most shocked person. His body softened and he fell to the ground, muttering to himself, "Over, it's all over. I sold him the stink bomb and he used it on senior martial brother. Senior brother lost so fast, he must already be thinking about how to deal with me. Li Shan, why didn't you realize Wang Lin was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Wang Lin, you are too despicable, too shameful, too sinister. This time you have really put me in a terrible position. How will I be able to stay at the XIAN Dao sect? Senior brother will definitely not forgive me. No, I must think of a way to wash off that black sludge and wash away that stink. This black sludge is my most proud invention. There is no cure other than half a year in the bath. And that stink is something I developed to steal away other people's girlfriends. Even I wouldn't touch it. The only way to get rid of it is to stand at the wind tunnel for a month. There is no other way. I'm finished. At that moment, Zhou Peng woke up. He was knocked unconscious by the stink and shouted, Li Shan, I'm not gonna forgive you for this. Li Shan couldn't stand this kind of blow. He cried, Senior brother, I was wrong. Senior brother, please forgive me. I'll never try to profit by cheating again. Zhou Peng's face was full of anger. He moved like lightning while carrying the black sludge and the foul smell with him. He instantly made his way back onto the stage and madly shouted, Wang Lin, that didn't count. I wasn't ready and you attacked early. We are going to fight again, and this time you are not allowed to attack early. Wang Lin was also shocked and didn't recover for a long time. Zhou Peng was enraged because he thought that he had been careless earlier. How could a mere 3rd layer kid beat him? This time he didn't say a word and summoned the giant python again. He formed a seal with his hand and the python was about to open its mouth. Wang Lin's attraction force was sent out again. The python let out a whining sound as it disappeared. Zhou Peng's right cheek was swollen. He coughed out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying again. The moment he landed, he charged back onto the stage. His hair was completely disheveled. Ignoring the blood in the corner of his mouth, he ripped off his clothes and removed the yellow talisman from his chest. His cultivation suddenly rose and his hair flowed in the air in a strange manner. Wang Lin, that didn't count. I didn't use my real strength. Let's fight. Wang Lin was now confident in his strength. Without waiting for Zhou Peng, he used the attraction technique and swiped him again. Pa! Zhou Peng, who was still raging, was hit in the face again and he coughed up more blood. This time he didn't immediately get up. The spiritual energy in his body was in chaos. He struggled but couldn't get up, and the sense of shame drowned him. He wasn't able to catch his breath and passed out. Everyone was completely silent. Besides the deep breathing of the surrounding disciples, there was no other sound. Huang Long finally recovered from the shock, and his face revealed a look of ecstasy. The more he looked at Wang Lin, the more he liked him. He thought, "This Wang Lin is my Hung Yu Sect's lucky star. This brat has already become this strong and he didn't want to fight. He really needs some scolding. I also need to carefully question him on how he did it." Sun Dazhu took a deep breath. He finally recovered a bit and thought, Wang Lin must have some secret. That gourd must not have been the only one. Wang Lin, you have deceived me well. Humph. Dao Su was stunned. The first time could be considered luck, but the next two fights were real fights. What shocked him the most was that after the Zhou Peng took off the yellow talisman, his cultivation climbed to the 12th layer, which was same as him, but was still sent off the stage with one slap by Wang Lin's attraction technique. What level has this Wang Lin achieved? He stared at Wang Lin for a long time. No matter how much he checked with his divine sense, he couldn't see through Wang Lin's cultivation. The red-faced elder finally recovered and thought, when Wang Lin was accepted into the sect, it was I who approved him. It seems my eyes weren't wrong. The middle-aged man who accepted Wang Lin's fourth uncle's piece of metal also thought, fate. This is fate. It seems me and this kid have some fate, or I wouldn't have pushed for him to join the sect. I have done a good deed for the Hung Yu sect. I have to talk with the sect head later. Standing next to him was a yellow-faced middle-aged man. He nodded and thought, when I tested this kid before, I knew that his perseverance was great. Seems he is not normal. If he wasn't stolen by Sun Dazhu, he would be my Zhongrensai's disciple. Wang Zhuo's mind was finally clear now. He was no longer floating on a cloud but bitterly thought, it turns out he was this strong. All those times I mocked him. He must be thinking of ways to get revenge on me. What do I do? The female named Zhou's eyes lit up. She was completely convinced that Wang Lin had been hiding his strength. She remembered when she thought that he was still at the 3rd layer and she said all those emotional things to him. Her face turned red. She thought, this Wang Lin he is already so strong but lied to me when he said he was only at the 3rd layer. Later, I must get an answer out of him. The female named Su blinked many times while staring at Wang Lin, then looked at Wang Zhuo and thought, how can he compare to brother Wang Zhuo? Right now is the time for brother Wang Zhuo to show off, but this Wang Lin is too strong. He was able to send the other sect's head disciple off stage with one slap not once, but 3 times. He really vented for us all. One of the inner disciples secretly laughed and checked out few of the surrounding disciples and thought, this Wang Lin turned out to be pretending to be a pig planning to eat a tiger this whole time. Too devious. Fortunately, I never mocked him before or it would have been really bad. Hee. I'll be able to see many good shows from all these people that used to mock him a lot. One of the disciples that mocked Wang Lin a lot thought, it's over. I used to point and laugh at him so much, but now he can kill me with just one finger. Your cultivation is already so high, but you still pretend to be so weak. Too shameless. Alas, this Wang Lin is known to hold grudges among the nameless disciples, and was nicknamed the Black-Hearted King. I should go and suck up to curry some favor later. Another disciple that used to mock Wang Lin a lot nervously thought, this Wang Lin must be a cool-headed genius. That must be why he didn't even bother to respond when he was the object of my ridicule. This must like how when a dog bites a person won't bite the dog back. Right, it must be like this. Brother Wang Lin is a genius. How could he bother with someone like me? The pill house's 3rd senior brother sucked in a breath of cold air. His expression was unsettled as he thought, this is bad. I heard that this guy and Wang Hao are relatives and that their relationship is pretty good. How to deal with this? If this was 3 days ago, I could have let Wang Hao go and not have angered him, but now Wang Hao has already become like that. If he goes and finds Wang Hao, that means I have to face his anger. This Wang Hao can't be kept alive. If I let him go, then he might come back at me for revenge. After the exchange is over, I'll go kill him and pretend he died from something else. Lu Song lowered his head and looked at the purple clothes on his body. He bitterly laughed and thought, the inner disciples of the Hung Yu sect are about to go into an upheaval. This Wang Lin is not simple. His schemes are very deep. He probably has been keeping his cultivation hidden just for today. Hehe. I'm afraid Wang Lin's name will spread across the cultivation world of Zhao soon. I must make him a friend and not an enemy. With that, he decided on how he will treat Wang Lin in the future. Zhang Kuang's face was filled with a bitter look. When he got the spirit water, he just thought it was water containing a lot of spiritual power, so he didn't go after Wang Lin. But after he compared the spirit water to the spring water in the back mountain, he found out that not only did the spirit water contain several times more spiritual energy, but it also had some other uses. After his careful analysis, he found out that the spirit water could help one retain a youthful look. If it was regularly taken, then one could look young forever. He only took a few drops and immediately noticed this effect. This realization made him very excited. It has to be said that only after one reaches the nascent soul stage would they live forever, but when that happens it has already been hundreds if not thousands of years. Zhang Kuang knew that if this spirit water was taken out to exchange with other sects, they would go crazy for it, especially the female cultivators at the foundation building or core formation stages. But when he went to check again, he had already lost Wang Lin's shadow. There were only a few dozen inner disciples in the Hongyu sect. He checked them all but couldn't find one that was similar. He was depressed for a long time because of this. He had also checked up on Wang Lin, but after finding that Wang Lin was only at the third layer, he didn't think it was Wang Lin. But now he was 100% sure that that person was Wang Lin. This confirmation had no logical reason. It was purely based on his intuition. This Wang Lin has already reached such a high cultivation level. Good thing I didn't do anything to him back then. Alas, the secret of the spirit water must be buried in my heart. It doesn't matter if Wang Lin is really that person or not, because the cultivation world is too cruel. Not to mention fellows from the same sect, even brothers would kill each other. With Wang Lin's cultivation, I won't be able to fight back at all. Zhang Kuang decided to never mess with Wang Lin. He also involuntarily remembered that back in the back mountain, he thought that Wang Lin wasn't even at the first layer and gave him a lift. He wondered what Wang Lin thought about that back then. There was that time at the river in the back mountain too. While thinking about it, Zhang Kuang shivered. He was glad that he didn't do anything back then, or it would have been over for him. It's not that he didn't wonder about how Wang Lin had become so strong, but with Wang Lin's current cultivation level, he immediately stopped himself. He felt that if he kept thinking about it, he would throw his life away. Brother Zhang, who had always scolded Wang Lin to train harder, felt very perplexed. He looked at Wang Lin and gloomily said, "This Wang Lin is someone I personally brought over from the Wang family. He is clearly a normal youth. When he tried to commit suicide, it was I who saved him as well. It's been 5 years and so much has changed. He is now the Hongyu sect's #1 disciple. Fate is simply too cruel. I have painstakingly cultivated for 10 years, and have only reached the 6th layer." If the Xiandao sect was surprised before, they were now shocked. Zhou Peng could explain the first time as him being careless, but on the second and third times, he was again and again sent flying, each time with one move. Especially that third time. Zhou Peng removed his yellow talisman and used his full cultivation, but was still beat with one move. This caused all of the Xiandao sect people to be stunned. Lu Feng's jaw fell, and he didn't regain his senses for a long time. He was convinced that Wang Lin was the Hongyu sect's ace. He thought, senior brother wasn't careless before, but was simply weaker than Wang Lin. However, senior brother is already at the 12th layer. What level of cultivation has Wang Lin reached? Lu Feng muttered in a tone of disbelief. Could he have already reached foundation building? The female disciple named Ouyang, who laughed at Wang Lin before for trying to feed the centipede small animals, was also stunned. The senior brother she admired the most lost. Lu Mei's eyes lit up even more. She had become even more interested in Wang Lin. She secretly thought, he indeed has many secrets. I realized that something was wrong 3 days ago, when he was the first person to recover from my charm technique. Several other disciples couldn't even say a word because senior brother was their hero, an expert, but now this expert was beaten by someone else, and beaten in one move without any chance of fighting back. This caused them all to begin to doubt the techniques taught at the Xiandao sect. Elder Ouyang's expression was like Huang Long's expression when the Hongyu sect's disciples lost all those battles before. His face was very bitter. He deeply looked at Wang Lin and was shocked. With his 14th layer cultivation, no matter how he looked at Wang Lin, he could only see that Wang Lin was at the 3rd layer. Is he really a Hongyu sect inner disciple? Has he already reached foundation building? How else would I be unable to see his cultivation level? The other 2 elders' faces were also very pale. The 3 matches Zhou Peng fought made them understand Wang Lin's power. This was when one of the Xian Dao sect disciples suddenly whispered, "What technique did he use? Why do I feel like he used the attraction technique?" A disciple on the side started to analyze with a serious expression. Attraction technique? Not possible. That is the lowest level of technique. How could it contain that much power? If you ask me, it must be some lost ancient technique. You see him waving his hand like it's the attraction technique, but that must be used to cover up this ancient technique. This Wang Lin is too sly. But from how I see it, it looks exactly like the attraction technique. I often practice it myself. I could wave my hand and make objects fly any way I want, just like what happened to senior brother. Another disciple added, but on those last few words, his voice became very faint. Another disciple said, while rubbing his chin, "Forget it. You try and do what Wang Lin just did. This can't be the attraction technique, it can be." The other disciples started to discuss what technique Wang Lin used. Some even went and directly asked the 3 elders. Elder Ouyang and the other 2 elders bitterly laughed. He sighed and said, "This is not the attraction technique. I have never seen such a powerful attraction technique. From what I saw, this must be the long-lost dragon capture hand." Dragon capture hand. The other 2 elders were stunned. They had never heard of this dragon capture hand, but they couldn't see through what technique Wang Lin used either, because it just looked too similar to the attraction technique. Elder Ouyang let out a dark sigh and thought, "This old man can't see through it either. If I say I don't know, it will lose me too much face, so I can only make something up." The discussion of what technique Wang Lin used also happened among the Hongyu sect disciples. Wang Lin stood on the stage, unable to calm his excited heart. He was able to beat Zhou Peng down with his attraction technique 3 times, causing his confidence to grow. His gaze swept across the Xian Dao sect disciples like Zhou Peng did before and said, "Today's exchange is not over. Who is going to come up next from the Xian Dao sect?" All of the Xian Dao sect disciples looked at each other. They all lowered their heads, unwilling to look at Wang Lin, just like how the Hongyu sect acted before with Zhou Peng. All of the Hongyu sect disciples forgot the title trash they gave Wang Lin. They all cheered and shouted, "Xian Dao sect's trash. How coming none of you are coming out after seeing how strong our senior brother Wang is? You were all so arrogant before. How come none of you are coming out now? Where did all the drive you guys had before go? Quickly, send someone up so our senior brother Wang can teach them a lesson. Then we'll see if you guys will act cocky again. Lu Feng, you looked so strong before. Come on out. Do you dare to fight with my senior brother? All that the Xian Dao sect has left is trash. None of them dare to come out. Brother Wang is invincible. Li Shan, you sold us those stink bombs with bad intentions, but we all saw through it, especially senior brother Wang Lin. Have you learned your lesson? Did you guys all see? The Xian Dao sect is so scared of brother Wang Lin that none of them dare to come out. Senior brother, I mocked you before, but I'm here to apologize to you now before everyone else. You are now my boss. If you tell me to go east, I definitely won't go west." The scene suddenly became more lively. All of the Hongyu sect disciples became excited and started to shout loudly. The earlier battles between the 2 sects were too depressing for them, but Wang Lin's performance gave them hope. By coincidence, the title of senior brother was given to Wang Lin. Elder Ouyang's face turned red, then white. He finally felt what Huanglong felt earlier. Then he finally said, "Yang Yi, you go." A tall and thin youth reluctantly walked up. Before he got on the stage, a Xian Dao sect disciple shouted, "Second senior brother, go. Go and give Wang Lin a." Before he even finished talking, he noticed all the other disciples were looking at him with strange expressions, especially Yang Yi, who gave him a hateful look. The look made him so scared he didn't dare to finish that sentence. Yang Yi secretly cursed in his heart. This moron Wang Lin is so strong that he is able to beat senior brother with one move. Yet old man Ouyang still made me come up. So shameful. And I don't know how many stink bombs that bastard Li Shan sold him either. That Li Shan, I'll have to teach him a lesson once we go back. While thinking that, he turned to Li Shan and shot him a fierce gaze. He then clasped his hands and respectfully said, "Brother Wang, I am Yang Yi. Brother is very handsome and has such high cultivation. You will definitely become famous in the cultivation country of Zhao. Having the chance to battle with brother is really a privilege." Wang Lin glanced at Yang Yi but didn't say a word. Yang Yi didn't feel embarrassed. He said, "Brother Wang, we are only here for a friendly exchange between the two sections. How about we fight by touch asterisk to determine the winner? If I can last 100 seconds, then it's my win." Just as he finished, he immediately regretted it and said, "No, 50 seconds. Actually, let's do 30 seconds. No, let's go with 20 seconds." All of the Hongyu sect disciples finally decided that they must properly suck up to Wang Lin, or they just wouldn't feel safe. "Get off the stage. You're the Xiandao sect's second senior brother, yet you're so shameless. Brother Wang, don't listen to him. Yang Yi, are you still a man? From 100 seconds to 20 seconds? Get off the stage and send in someone else. You're not worthy of fighting our senior brother. How could the Xiandao sect send out such a person? Simply too shameful." Huang Long's smile became wider. The more he looked at Wang Lin, the more he liked him. He turned to Sun Dazhu and said, "Junior brother Dazhu, this disciple of yours is very good." Sun Dazhu's body trembled. His body felt several pounds lighter. Since when did the sect head call him junior brother Dazhu with such intimacy? He proudly said, "That is true. I've had my eyes on Wang Lin from the moment he came into the sect. Good thing no one fought with me for him. When I took him as my disciple, quite a few people even mocked me." Dao Su's and the red-faced elders, along with a few other elders, faces turned red and were about to speak. However, Huang Long fiercely looked at them and said, "Junior brother Dazhu, you have done a great service for the Hongyu sect. Don't worry, your elder brother will deal with this matter for you." Sun Dazhu was talking proudly, but secretly, he was even more shocked and his eyes contained a cold light. On the stage, Yang Yi didn't even have time to bother with what the other sect's disciples were saying. He was carefully examining Wang Lin. He was afraid that he wouldn't agree to his suggestion. Wang Lin looked at Yang Yi and said, "Okay." Yang Yi secretly became excited. He had always been a calm person. He was not arrogant like Zhou Peng. He thought, "Wang Lin, although your dragon capture hand is strong, and I can't compare to senior brother, I specialize in speed. Let's see if you can catch me in 20 seconds. It will surely be my win." He clasped his hands toward Wang Lin, then quickly took out a piece of white jade and crushed it. Suddenly, white light appeared around his body and increased his speed. He shot toward the side. He deliberately avoided Wang Lin. His objective wasn't fight him, but to use his speed to waste time. Wang Lin revealed a mocking smile. His divine sense was far above Yang Yi's and he was easily able to keep up with the speed. His attraction technique was sent out and he slowly took out a stink bomb. The moment Yang Yi saw the stink bomb, his face changed greatly, and he increased his speed. Li Shan stared dumbfoundedly at the stink bomb in Wang Lin's hand as he muttered to himself, "Martial brother Wang, elder brother Wang, grandpa Wang, please don't use it anymore. I have already angered senior brother. If I anger second senior brother as well, my life will be over." Asterisk basically is you fight but on a critical blow or something, you don't hit them but stop by just before hitting them after breaking through their defenses. Unfortunately for him, his prayers didn't come true. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. Then his attraction technique formed a hand and caught Yang Yi. Then an stink bomb was tossed into the air. It flew in an arc and landed on Yang Yi's head. Yang Yi felt the space tighten around him as if the air around him was sucked out and a force was pressing him from all sides, making him unable to move. He could only stare as the stink bomb fell toward him. With a bang, Yang Yi was hit by the stink bomb. His entire face was black and his body emitted a disgusting stench. He couldn't be bothered with his face being black or with the stench. His face was filled with horror. When he felt the squeezing force loosen a bit, he used all the power in his body to break free. His heart pounded as he thought, "This dragon capture hand is too strong. I'll lose no matter what. Fine, let's go all out." Wang Lin faintly smiled at Yang Yi and said, There are still more than 10 seconds left. You can continue. Yang Yi gritted his teeth and spat out a mouthful of red light. The red light grew large and turned into a long sword-shaped red light and flew toward Wang Lin with strong sword chi. Meanwhile, he moved again and threw out handfuls of talismans. The talismans all grew and activated techniques that rained down on Wang Lin. Wang Lin sneered. He activated his attraction technique and formed a hand. He waved it and destroyed all of the talismans in the air. He then created another hand and grabbed the red light. The red light dissipated and revealed its true form. A red flying sword. The flying sword was stopped in mid-air and continued to struggle. Wang Lin scanned the flying sword and found that it had a piece of divine sense inside. Just like the stink bomb. He easily erased the divine sense left on it and used a bit more force with his attraction technique. With a cracking sound, the flying sword split in half and fell to the ground. Yang Yi's expression changed greatly and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. He took a few steps back and said, "Brother Wang's ancient technique, the dragon capture hand, is very strong, but I don't admit defeat. What defeated me was not you, but your ancient technique." Wang Lin was stunned, but he let out a smile. "Ancient technique dragon capture hand? This is the first time I've heard of it." "Humph, you don't have to deny it. Your dragon capture hand has already been seen through by my uncle master." Yang Yi walked down from the stage and all of the Xian Dao sect disciples got out of the way. The smell on his body was simply too awful. Elder Ouyang's face reddened slightly. He coughed and stiffly said, "Junior Wang Lin, the technique you used is really the dragon capture hand. These ancient techniques are very unpredictable and powerful. I've only ever heard of it in some old texts myself. I never thought that the Hengyu sect still had a technique that has been lost for thousands of years. No less from a powerful sect from 500 years ago." As he kept speaking, even he himself began to believe it. Even though it was not the dragon capture hand, it must have been an ancient technique, or it would not have been so powerful. Wang Lin was dumbfounded. He had practiced this attraction technique for more than 20 years in the dream world, so its power would not be weak. This was only a small matter. What was important was that these fights made Wang Lin realize his current strength. Situ Nan said before that Wang Lin was at the half-circle of the spirit movement stage, which was the 14th layer of qi condensation in the cultivation country of Zhao. This meant that he was one step away from reaching the peak of qi condensation. As for why he felt like he was still at the third layer, even Situ Nan couldn't guess what was wrong. Wang Lin had once brought up what Brother Zhang said about cutting one's mortal ties. But with a face full of disdain, Situ Nan told him that there was no such thing. That was only a rumor spread by the juniors of these small cultivation countries. Cultivation was a heaven-defying act. These small things don't matter at all. He stated that, in his home country there was a cultivator at the soul formation stage, but he couldn't let go of his family ties, so he stayed home and enjoyed life with his family, and in the end he still reached soul transformation after a number of years. This lifestyle becomes very dull after a long time. After all, a cultivator's lifespan is much longer than an average person, so, to normal people it looks like cultivators don't care about these things. Situ Nan finally concluded that this had something to do with the heaven-defying bead. Because Wang Lin cultivated so much in the heaven-defying bead space, it caused a desynchronization between the dream space and the real world, so while Wang Lin's true strength was at the 14th layer, his body only showed that he was at the 3rd layer. After a while, the desynchronization will be gone, so it was not a big deal. With the power of the 14th layer of qi condensation and more than 20 years of hard work on the attraction technique, no wonder its power would cause people to have crazy guesses. Huang Long narrowed his eyes and said to Wang Lin, "Wang Lin, is the technique you used really some ancient technique?" He was currently not in the mood to find what the name of the technique was, but he wholeheartedly wanted to make the Xian Dao sect lose face. Wang Lin shook his head and smiled. "Sect head, the technique Junior used is clearly the attraction technique. As for the dragon capture hand, disciple has never heard of it before." Huang Long secretly praised Wang Lin for being smart. He looked toward the 3 Xian Dao sect elders and laughed. "Friend Ouyang, I can tell you that this technique is not the dragon capture hand, but the most basic technique of my Hengyu sect, the attraction technique. Your disciples can't even defend against the most basic technique of my Hengyu sect, and you guys are making up this dragon capture hand to justify it." Elder Ouyang was pretty embarrassed, but on the surface he couldn't back down. He retorted, "Friend Huanglong, you don't have to deny it. I already saw through it. This is the dragon capture hand." Dao Su let out a laugh and said to Sect Head Huanglong, "Sect Head, I think that name is pretty good. How about we change the attraction technique's name to the dragon capture hand?" Huanglong's eyes lit up and gave Dao Su a praising look. He said, "Good. From now on, my Hengyu sex attraction technique will be renamed to the dragon capture hand. I'd like thank the Xiandao sect for the name." Elder Ouyang and the two other elders' faces were full of bitterness. They shook their heads in silence. Wang Lin stood on the stage, pondering. After the last two matches, he had gained great confidence in his strength, but the opponents were too weak to test his full power. Although his spiritual energy was at the same level as someone at the 14th layer of qi condensation, he was a bit short in terms of technique. He only had proficiency in the attraction technique. In order to test how strong he truly was, he suddenly said, "Fellow senior brothers of the Xiandao sect, all of you can come up at once." All of the Xiandao sect disciples became furious. They all secretly cursed Wang Lin for being too arrogant, but none of them dared to go up. Elder Ouyang and the other two elders were also frowning and looking at Wang Lin with unfriendly gazes. Wang Lin raised his head and let out a laugh. His current demeanor was exactly the same as Zhou Peng's before. He asked, "Xiandao sect, are you all too scared to even all come up at once?" All of the Hengyu sect disciples became very excited and started to cheer loudly. "Is the trash of the Xiandao sect too scared to come out? Where did all of that arrogance go? Come out. Senior brother Wang Lin is invincible. Punch the Xiandao sect. Kick the Xiandao sect. Even his spit can drown the Xiandao sect. Your senior brother was not good enough. Your second senior brother was also not enough. Do you guys have a third senior brother? All of you, come out together. Lu Feng, come out and die." The Hengyu sect disciples became even more rowdy and Huanglong's smile became wider and wider, until one of the Xiandao sect disciples who couldn't stand it anymore finally shouted, "Wang Lin, you are too arrogant. It is you who wants all of us to come up. Fellow martial brothers, let's all go and beat him up. That's right. This is his request, so it's not against the rules. Elders, let us all go up. Elder, this Wang Lin is too arrogant. Let us all go up." The Xiandao sect's disciples asked to go up one by one. Elder Ouyang clenched his teeth and said, "Since the Hengyu sect requested it, then whoever wants to go, go up." The moment he finished speaking, 3 disciples immediately jumped onto the stage. Soon, 7 to 8 more disciples came onto the stage. There were even a few female disciples amongst them. With a shout from someone, all of them took out their magical treasures and attacked Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't mind at all. He activated the attraction technique. He created a few giant hands and swept them at the crowd of people. Suddenly, several people were sent flying. Then he took a few steps back and the giant hands grabbed the Xiandao sect disciples like they were flies and threw them into the distance. Screams came from the crowd. The Xiandao sect disciples were thrown from the stage one by one, and were unable to get up after they landed. The more Wang Lin fought, the more he got used to it. His control of the attraction technique became even more refined and, after a while, there were only 3 people remaining. One of them was Lu Feng. Wang Lin let out a laugh and took out the last stink bomb. Lu Feng's expression suddenly changed. He didn't care about the other 2 anymore. He shouted, "Brother Wang, have mercy. I surrender, I surrender." As he was speaking, he quickly backed up and stepped off the stage. He had already seen what happened to Zhou Peng and Yang Yi, so he didn't want the same thing to happen to him. The last 2 people were Su Mu and Li Shan. Su Mu saw that things weren't going well. He quickly surrendered and awkwardly got off the stage. Li Shan's face was filled with grief. He loudly shouted at Wang Lin, "Wang Lin, come. Use your last stink bomb on me." With his strength, he would normally not be the last person left, but when he got on the stage, he immediately played dead. Although he was stepped on a few times, it was worth it for the sake of his future in the sect. Li Shan planned this well. If he was also hit by the stink bomb like senior brother and second senior brother, then he might get their pity and his beating might not be as bad. Wang Lin faintly smiled at him. He put away the stink bomb and said, "This is a treasure, so it shouldn't be carelessly used. You can get off the stage." With his attraction technique, he grabbed Li Shan like a small baby chick and threw him off the stage. Elder Ouyang and the two other elders were furious. They wished there was a crack in the ground for them to burrow in right now. Huang Long's face was bursting with joy as he said, "Friend Ouyang, who is the winner between the exchange of our two sects?" Elder Ouyang snorted and said, "Your Hangyu sect has good fortune to have such a good disciple. This exchange is your win. But what I said before is true. All of your Hangyu sect nascent soul ancestors are dead. All of the things you want are in this bag of holding. Goodbye." With that, he waved his sleeve and a bag of holding flew out. Huang Long caught the bag of holding with a thoughtful expression. Elder Ouyang let out a shout and soon, a black cloud arrived at his location. Wang Lin looked closer and found that it was the 1,000-foot centipede. Without a word, Elder Ouyang took one step and jumped onto the centipede. All of the Xiandao sect disciples flew onto the centipede with looks of shame, anger, and many other expressions. Seeing the other about to leave, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he made a decision. He shouted, "Fellow peers of the Xiandao sect and elders, I have an unreasonable demand." With that, his body flew forward with the attraction technique and stopped before the centipede. Elder Ouyang's expression remained unwavering. If it was any other disciple of the Hangyu sect, he wouldn't bother, but this Wang Lin's power was too amazing, so he suppressed the discontent in his heart and said, "Speak." Wang Lin looked at the 1,000-foot centipede and honestly said, "I would like to borrow some poison from the centipede. I hope Elder Ouyang will agree." Before Elder Ouyang could speak, all of the Xiandao sect disciples became furious. One of them shouted, "Wang Lin, don't push us too far. Wang Lin, this centipede is one of the guardian spirit beasts of our Xiandao sect. How could its poison be just lent to you because you ask? You're too arrogant. Elder, this person is too disrespectful to our Xiandao sect. I request the elder to teach him a lesson." The other two elders both couldn't stop sneering. Elder Ouyang stared at Wang Lin with an eerie smile. "Junior Scram, I can't be bothered with you." Huang Long and the other elders of the Hangyu sect all stepped onto their flying swords and flew up next to Wang Lin. Huang Long said in a clear voice, "Friend Ouyang, your Xiandao sect is too stingy. It's only the centipede's poison. It's not like he is asking for its life." Elder Ouyang's expression darkened. He looked around and his gaze fell back on Huang Long. He said, "Friend Huang Long, taking a bit of the poison is not a big deal, but for a junior to dare to be so arrogant is too disrespectful toward our Xiandao sect." Huang Long hesitated for a moment. He really didn't want to embarrass the Xiandao sect too much, because the news they brought was just too shocking. If the news were true, then the balance of power in the cultivation country of Zhao was going to be shuffled. Wang Lin hesitated for a while. He was definitely going to get the poison from this centipede. He said to Elder Ouyang, "Elder Ouyang, I only want a bit of the centipede's poison. I promise I won't hurt him. If you agree, I'm willing to exchange something for it." Elder Ouyang gave Wang Lin a scornful look. He said, "You're only a little junior. What right do you have to trade with me? If you take out the treasure left behind by the Hangyu sect's founder, I might exchange one drop of poison with you." Wang Lin frowned. He secretly sneered. Then, he activated his attraction technique to full force and grabbed. Elder Ouyang's face instantly changed. "Junior, you dare." With that, he waved his sleeve and an old-looking flying sword came out. The moment the flying sword came out, wind started to gather and formed a giant sword in the air. The sword swung down. The moment the sword appeared, a hint of killing intent appeared in Elder Ouyang's eyes. This disciple was simply too strong and he will become a threat to his Xiandao sect in the future. He wanted to take this opportunity to destroy his cultivation. Huang Long's face darkened. He realized what Ouyang's intent was and immediately took out his sword. Wang Lin let out a laugh. His attraction technique reached its limit and the invisible hand he created turned visible. Two large hands that emitted white light appeared. Swirls of light appeared around the hands and all of the clouds surrounding them scattered. One of the giant hands grabbed hold of the neck of the centipede. The other hand rose up and blocked the sword that was coming down. The sword that was swinging down slowed down until it was stopped in mid-air. Elder Ouyang's face was all red as he revealed a look of horror. The other two elders clenched their teeth. Disregarding their status, One spat out a rainbow-colored light that turned into a rainbow-colored ribbon. It shot toward Wang Lin. Meanwhile, the other elder threw out a piece of jade. 8 ghostly fireballs appeared and shot at Wang Lin. A strong heat wave reached Wang Lin, but his expression didn't change at all. He created another hand with his attraction technique. That hand created a swirl of wind around him, causing the ghostly fire to fade. All of this happened very quickly. Huang Long let out an angry roar and formed a seal with his hand. His flying sword, the purple moon, flashed toward the rainbow-colored ribbon. Using this time, Wang Lin quickly moved toward the 1,000-foot centipede. With his attraction technique holding the centipede, no matter how hard it struggled, it couldn't break free. Wang Lin placed his right hand on the centipede's head and activated his spiritual energy. The centipede let out a painful howl and coughed out a black mist. All of this lasted only a few seconds. No one even had the time to react yet. Both sect's elders stood on each side of the centipede, ready to fight. When Dao Su saw the centipede cough out the poison, he was afraid that Wang Lin wouldn't have anything to hold the poison. So he waved his sleeve and threw out a white bottle. He shouted, "Disciple Wang Lin, use this to hold the poison." After that, he took his flying sword and started fighting the Xiandao sect elder that let out the ghostly fire. The 3 elders of the Xiandao sect were all furious that they were stopped by the Hongyu sect elders and were unable to stop Wang Lin. When Wang Lin saw that the centipede coughed out the poison, he quickly moved back a bit. He took the bottle and used his spiritual energy to move the poison into the bottle. Elder Ouyang furiously shouted, "Hongyu sect, you've gone too far." Huang Long secretly sighed. He put away his sword and backed away. The other elders all did the same. Wang Lin's face showed hints of regret. This centipede's poison could be the cure for his father's illness, so he was determined to get it no matter what. He clasped his hands and said, "Elder Ouyang, this centipede's poison is very important to me. I have something that can be considered a fair trade for it." With that, he threw out a very normal-looking jade bottle. The bottle was filled with the river water he had stocked up on from the back mountain. Elder Ouyang's face was sullen. He was about to speak when carefully scanned the jade bottle. He frowned and said, "I heard that 500 years ago, several nascent soul cultivators of the Hongyu sect created a cultivation ground with spiritual energy several times higher than normal. I guess this liquid came from there." When the cap on the bottle was opened, a strong aura of spiritual power leaked out. Huang Long gave the jade bottle a look, then rubbed his beard. He said, "This brat." He even brought out a bottle of river water. Elder Ouyang grunted. He weighed the bottle in his hand, then said, "Friend Huang Long, your Hongyu sect has a very good disciple. Goodbye." With that, he glanced at Wang Lin. After pondering for a while, he sent a message to Wang Lin. "Nephew disciple Wang, I can let this matter about the centipede's poison go. But the Hongyu sect no longer has any nascent soul ancestors behind them, so stay at your own risk." With that, he touched the 1,000-foot centipede. The centipede glared at Wang Lin and flew north. At that moment, Wang Lin noticed that, on top of that centipede, there was a pair of attractive eyes looking at him. He was stunned. His mind was still echoing with the words of Elder Ouyang. As for the owner of that pair of attractive eyes, after looking at the person once, he didn't even take it to heart. After the Xiandao sect had left, the entire Pine Peak was silent. Huang Long's eyes swept the area. Smiling, he said, "Today's exchange is won by my Hongyu sect. All inner disciples will be rewarded. All of you can go to the pill house to get a bottle of spiritual energy gathering pills. You all have to follow Wang Lin's example." All of the inner disciples started to cheer one by one. As of now, no one dared to call him trash anymore. Wang Zhuo's heart was in chaos. He said to Xiandao, "Teacher, disciple wants to go into the life and death passage. I will no longer concern myself with other affairs." Dao Su let out a sigh. Wang Zhuo was his favorite disciple, so he knew of the issues between Wang Lin and Wang Zhuo. He pondered for a while, then nodded and said, "Fine. You can take this opportunity to hide from Wang Lin as well." Wang Zhuo let out a bitter smile but didn't say a word. Huang Long spoke again. "All of you can leave. Wang Lin, come with me." Wang Lin nodded. His gaze swept the crowd and landed on third elder brother Lu Yun. He said, "Third elder brother, wait a moment. Lu Yunjie shivered. He forced a smile and said, Wang, brother Wang, do you need something? If you need some spiritual energy gathering pills, I still have a lot left and can give some to you. Third brother, there's something I want from you. Your helper Wang Hao. Wang Lin stared at Lu Yunjie. Before, he was not confident enough to go against Lu Yunjie, so he didn't help Wang Hao. But after this battle, he had a much better understanding of his own power. Lu Yunjie's expression became unsettled. He bitterly laughed in his heart. He clenched his teeth and said, Wang Lin, that Wang Hao is my helper and is very important to my pill creation, so I can't agree. Huang Long stood at the side very puzzled and shouted, Lu Yunjie, it's only a helper. How important can he be? Lu Yunjie's face was very bitter. He decided to bite the bullet and said, Sect head, disciple can't obey. Wang Hao has already. Wang Lin's expression quickly changed. He moved like lightning toward the Hangyu Peak. Huang Long and the other elders were all confused and followed behind. Dao Su grabbed Lu Yunjie as he followed Wang Lin. Soon, Wang Lin arrived above the pill house in the main courtyard. He scanned the area with his divine sense and quickly found Wang Hao's weak life force in the back room. The moment he entered the room, his anger reached its limit. In the large room was a giant pill furnace with Wang Hao sitting cross-legged inside. His life force was growing weaker and weaker. Wang Lin didn't even blink. He moved his hand and sent out his attraction technique to grab Wang Hao. As the hand formed by the technique came closer to the pill furnace, a rainbow-colored light came out from the furnace and collided with the hand. Wang Lin coldly snorted. Immediately, the power of the attraction technique reached its peak and broke the rainbow-colored light. Wang Lin gently grabbed Wang Hao and placed him on the ground. He placed his right hand on Wang Hao's forehead and remained silent. At that moment, Huang Long and the other elders arrived as well. The red-faced elder looked at the pill furnace, then at Wang Hao. His expression suddenly changed and he shouted, Fire furnace trail. Dao Su carefully looked at Lu Yunjie, who was in his hand. He threw him on the ground and said, Lu Yunjie, you sure have guts. Although this fire furnace trial isn't banned, you can only use it on people outside the sect, and never on anyone inside. Did you forget? Lu Yunjie's face was completely pale. He kneeled on the ground and whispered, Disciple came, joined the sect, and became your disciple at age 15. It has been 25 years and Disciple is still stuck at the 6th layer. Disciple is unwilling to give up. Once this fire furnace trial is complete, the pill can not only extend my life but will also give me a chance to break through, so I had to try no matter what. This Wang Hao is my personal helper. According to the sect rules, I can do whatever I wish, and he is not part of the sect, so I have done nothing wrong. Wang Lin opened his eyes. Before, Wang Hao's life was in critical condition, but after he sent spiritual energy into Wang Hao's body, he was able to save Wang Hao's life. After he heard Lu Yunjie's words, he let out a few snorts. Huang Long frowned. On one side was the genius Wang Lin, and on the other side was a faithful disciple of 25 years, Lu Yunjie. He found this decision very hard to make. After pondering for a while, he made a decision and said to Dao Su, Junior brother Dao Su, you are in charge of disciplinary actions. How do you want to deal with Lu Yunjie? The moment Dao Su heard this, he immediately understood sect head's decision and said, Lu Yunjie will go into seclusion for 20 years. Huang Long nodded and turned to Wang Lin. He kindly said, Wang Lin, from now on this Wang Hao will become an inner disciple. Consider it making it up to him. From now on you can't go look for Lu Yunjie for trouble anymore. After all, you are all in the same sect. Wang Lin glanced at Lu Yunjie and said, Disciple obeys. Huang Long waved his sleeves and said, Okay, since the thing is resolved, Dao Su, you deal with the matter here, including Wang Hao's retreatment. Wang Lin, you follow me. With that, he walked out of the room and then floated into the air. Dao Su looked at Wang Lin and smiled. Disciple nephew Wang Lin, don't worry and leave Wang Hao to me. As long as he is still alive, I'll find a way for him to recover. Wang Lin slightly nodded. After taking a look at Wang Hao, whose face had recovered a little, he left the pill house and followed Huang Long. Wang Lin had been thinking this whole time. He understood fully well why sect head Huang Long wanted to talk to him alone. Before long, Huang Long brought Wang Lin into the main hall. Then he suddenly shouted, Wang Lin, you sure have guts. Wang Lin's expression remained calm and said, Sect head, if you have something to say, just say it. Huanglong grunted and said, During that exchange, what technique did you really use? Wang Lin chuckled and said, Attraction technique. If sect head doesn't believe me, you can have a closer look. With that, he activated the attraction technique and grabbed all the tables and chairs in the main hall. After making them circle the room a few times, he put them back to where they were. Huanglong carefully examined the technique, then began to ponder. After a long time he suddenly asked, Before you were obviously at the third layer and even now you still look like you are at the third layer. How do you have so much power? What level are you at exactly? Wang Lin, tell me the truth. Wang Lin's face revealed a bitter expression and said, Disciple doesn't really understand. I just kept on cultivating and it became like this. As for what level I have reached, Disciple doesn't know. Huanglong stared at Wang Lin and said in a deep voice, Wang Lin, you're still not going to tell me? Wang Lin wryly smiled and said, Disciple really doesn't know. Huanglong secretly sighed. He didn't want to pressure Wang Lin too much because no matter what, Wang Lin was still a disciple of the Hengyu sect, and he had also just done the sect a great service. He will also very likely become a star among the inner disciples. Thinking about it, his expression became friendly and said, What was in that bottle you gave to the Xiandao sect? Wang Lin chuckled. He waved his right hand and took out 2 small bottles. He handed them to Huanglong and said, Sect head is talking about this? Sect head should know these better than me. It's just the river water from the back mountain. Huanglong looked at the bottles and let out a snort. The river water from the back mountain is not allowed to be taken out. I'll be taking these 2 bottles. You can go and rest. Remember to come meet me tomorrow, and I'll take you to the scripture library to find a suitable cultivation technique for you, he said. After Wang Lin heard this, he became very excited. On his way out, he respectfully said goodbye. Although his current cultivation was high, his only technique was the attraction technique. After Wang Lin left, Huanglong turned. He respectfully bowed and said, Elder Shangguan, do you think what Wang Lin said was true? And how should we deal with him? A skinny old man wearing a blue robe walked out into the main hall. His face was very gloomy. How much of it is true? Huanglong, can you not tell that that little guy didn't say a single word of truth? Huanglong revealed an embarrassed expression. This was one of the 10 foundation building elders. In the cultivation world, strength was what mattered the most. Him being the sect head and his fellow martial brothers being elders was only a front put up for the outside world. The rule of the Hengyu sect was that if one reached the foundation building stage, they could become an elder and enjoy that role's privileges. If one achieved core formation, then they would become one of the true elders of the Hengyu sect, and if one reached nascent soul, then they would be considered an ancestor of the Hengyu sect. Normally, the 10 foundation building elders were in closed-door training, but after hearing the shocking news from the Xiandao sect, Huanglong quickly found the 10 elders to tell the 2 core formation true elders about this matter. Wang Lin's appearance was very unexpected for Huanglong, so he took the chance to bring Wang Lin here to question him, and have the foundation building elders question him as well. Elder Shangguan took a look at the bottles in Huanglong's hand. He scanned them with his divine sense, then said, This little brat did say one thing that was true. This is indeed the river water from the back mountain, and if consumed every day, it will help with cultivation. Huanglong hesitated for a while. Elder Shangguan, do you think the technique Wang Lin used was really the attraction technique? He asked. Elder Shangguan looked at Huanglong and said, I saw his matches and I can confirm that the technique he used really was the attraction technique. Huanglong's expression changed greatly. Is it really the attraction technique? But how could it be so powerful that it could even catch magical treasures? He asked. Elder Shangguan coldly snorted and said, Any technique, after practicing for an extensive period of time, will have some special effect, although it's nothing to foundation building cultivators. This attraction technique is the most basic technique in the cultivation world. Do you still not understand that the more basic the technique, the longer its history? Huanglong quickly nodded in agreement. Elder Shangguan pondered for a while, then said, This child's cultivation is indeed at the 3rd layer, but he has way too much spiritual energy in his body, so I can't clearly check it all. My guess is that his power is that of 14th layer Qi condensation, so he should be able to reach the foundation building stage soon. It is okay for a disciple like this to have his secrets, because the sect is in a very dangerous state. The Xiandao sect really deserves to be called a small sect. Sending some Qi condensation juniors as elders and daring to try to win Wang Lin over in front of us with voice transmission. Huang Long was stunned. He didn't ask further about the voice transmission but asked, Huang Long obeys. Elder Shangguan, regarding matters about the ancestors. Elder Shangguan let out a sigh. A scowl appeared on his face. He shook his head and said, the ancestors haven't sent back any messages in 30 years, I'm afraid. Alas, this is not something you can do anything about. If the Xiandao sect really wants the Hengyu Peak, then there is nothing we can do. The country of Zhao is a large place and will have a spot for our Hengyu sect. Once the two true elders break into nascent soul, all of this humiliation will be paid back. Huang Long let out a bitter smile and silently nodded. As for Wang Lin, after he walked out of the main hall, all of the inner disciples made way for him and were full of respect. This treatment was completely opposite compared to the day before. Strength. In the cultivation world, strength is all that matters. Wang Lin felt a bit emotional as he walked back to Sundaju's garden. The moment he entered, he immediately saw Sundaju walk up with a smile on his face. Good disciple, teacher has been waiting for you for a long time. Here, have some top quality recovery tea teacher made for you. It will make you feel much better once you've drank it. With that, he picked up a cup from the stone table in the garden and handed it to Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression became a bit odd. Sundaju's behavior changed too quickly, causing Wang Lin to be stunned for a bit. Sundaju saw Wang Lin's expression. He awkwardly smiled and said with a sincere look in his eyes, Wang Lin, as your teacher, I wasn't every good and we had a lot of misunderstandings. Wang Lin didn't take the cup. He scanned the tea with his divine sense and found fluctuations of spiritual energy. He said, disciple is tired, so I won't be drinking this tea. Sundaju quickly said, tired? Then you must get some rest. The place you were staying at before is too small. From today on, you can live in my room. Wang Lin's expression remained calm, but he was very cautious in his heart. It has to be said that, within the sect, Sundaju was the one that would be most suspicious of him. So Wang Lin shook his head and said, it's fine. I won't be staying for long. I'll return to the back mountain to go into closed-door training in a few days. Sundaju opened his mouth to say something, but Wang Lin quickly said goodbye and left. Sundaju looked at the tea in his hand. His eyes were filled with a cold light. Wang Lin suddenly turned around with a faint smile on his face and thoughtfully looked at Sundaju. Sundaju's face suddenly stiffened and he said, good disciple, is there anything else? Wang Lin revealed a sarcastic expression. He took a few steps forward and said, teacher, you look very nervous. Sundaju's heart skipped a beat. He took 2 steps back and regained his composure. Teacher is indeed nervous. You, the disciple, are much stronger than me. I am only at the 5th layer of Qi condensation, he said. Wang Lin looked at the tea and said, teacher, drink this tea for disciple. Sundaju's expression suddenly changed and he forced a smile. What is this? If you don't want to drink it, I'll just dump it. With that, he threw the cup to the ground and moved back a few more steps, until his feet were at the gate. Teacher, drink it. Wang Lin's expression remained calm. He activated his attraction technique. The cup that was falling to the ground stopped and floated towards Sundaju. Wang Lin let out a sigh. He knew that Sundaju had hostile intentions. There was indeed something wrong with the tea. Sundaju's expression became unsettled. After pondering for a long time, he suddenly frowned and said, Wang Lin, it seems you still have misunderstandings about your teacher. You believe there is something wrong with this tea? Fine, I'll drink it. Sundaju picked up the tea and drank it. Then he threw the cup on the ground and said with discontent, is that okay? The sect head has asked me to talk to him. It will be bad if I'm late. If there is anything else, let's talk afterward. With that, he turned to leave. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he moved his body. Sundaju's expression changed and he quickly backed up. But how could his 5th layer cultivation compare to Wang Lin? In a moment, he arrived next to Sundaju. His eyes lit up and he slapped Sundaju's chest before. When Sundaju drank the tea, He realized that Sun Dazhu didn't really drink the tea, but surrounded it with spiritual energy. With that slap, Sun Dazhu's spiritual energy was scattered, and the tea quickly dissolved into Sun Dazhu's body. Sun Dazhu's expression suddenly changed to one containing a hint of fury. He quickly said, "Wang Lin, what are you doing? Do you want to kill your teacher? If you kill me, the Hongyu sect will not forgive you." Wang Lin remained silent. He sent out his divine sense and found that the tea had completely dissolved in Sun Dazhu's body. Then he felt slivers of wires making their way from the tea to Sun Dazhu's head. Sun Dazhu also felt that something was wrong, but before he could speak, the wire-like object had already reached his head. Instantly, his grim expression started to relax. Wang Lin stared at Sun Dazhu and immediately realized that something was off. Sun Dazhu's expression seemed a bit dull. He pondered a little, then asked, "Teacher, disciple is not trying to kill you, but you try to act against me. However, if teacher really did drink the tea, I wouldn't have done this." Sun Dazhu's expression stayed dull. He quickly said, "The tea should not be drunk." Wang Lin was stunned. He carefully examined Sun Dazhu for a while, then asked, "Why shouldn't it be drunk?" Sun Dazhu said with a dull expression, "There is 3-thread nematode grass in the tea." Wang Lin's eyes lit up. "What effect does the 3-thread nematode grass have?" he asked. "The ability to control the person who drank it for a short period of time. It is a key ingredient for making puppets." Killing intent flashed across Wang Lin's eyes. "Why did you want me to take it?" he asked. "Ever since I found out that you had those gourds, I had some doubts in my heart, so I took you in as my disciple. Originally, I wanted to get you to the first layer so I could use the soul-searching technique on you, but I had already given you the spiritual energy scattering grass, so I thought it would take you more than 10 years to reach the first layer and gave up on that idea. In the competition, you suddenly showed great strength, so I thought you must have had more of those gourds and even other secrets. I want to increase my cultivation as well, so I thought of giving you this tea." Wang Lin took a deep breath and asked, "What is the spiritual energy scattering grass? Also, have you told anyone else about me? And why didn't you use this 3-thread nematode grass on me before?" Spiritual energy scattering grass is used to help remove all of your cultivation. As for the matter about you, I never told anyone. I didn't want anyone besides me to steal the gourds, and after that, things changed too suddenly, so talking now would end up hurting me instead, so I decided to act. As for the 3-thread nematode grass, I didn't have it before. I got it from another cultivator when I left the mountain last year. That cultivator said that if it's used on a cultivator below foundation building, it has a 90% success rate. I originally wanted to use it on Luan Yunjia, to get some pills out of him. Wang Lin became furious and sneered. "Were you not afraid of me finding out? In order to find the secret you hold, I can't worry about too many things. I'm already old. If I don't improve, then I will never be able to reach foundation building in my lifetime. In fact, I wasn't sure if you were going to come back today, so I decided to gamble and prepared this tea. If you came back, I would offer you the tea. And if you didn't, I assume you would be with the sect head and will live in the back mountain most of the time, so I wouldn't have another chance to act." A cold light flashed across Wang Lin's eyes. He coldly asked, "Before you said that the sect head was looking for you. Is that true?" "No." The moment Sun Dazhu's word came out, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he slammed his hand on Sun Dazhu's head. Blood started to pour out from Sun Dazhu's orifices and he fell on the ground. Wang Lin stared at Sun Dazhu's body. He felt an indescribable feeling. This was the first time he had killed anyone, and it was his teacher. After pondering for a long time, Wang Lin put away Sun Dazhu's body. He walked out of the Hongyu sect with a dull expression until he reached a mountain, then threw the body down.